Hello and welcome to HackerRank TV. This is your host Adil Bandukwala. As the demand for tech talent skyrockets, so does the number of unique challenges for HR teams everywhere. Talk about skills gap, increasing competition, rising costs, rapidly changing market needs. It's pretty dynamic out there today. Why I'm super excited is, we've not done a lot of promotion about this because we wanted to test the waters and see how many people will actually join in impromptu on HackerRank social media channels. So for all of you who are joining us impromptu, welcome. I'm super stoked because I have my friend Pavan Desiraju with us today. Pavan's a decorated HR leader and a tech hiring expert. His multi decade experience in the vast world of tech hiring has equipped him with his unique skills and knowledge to be able to sift through and address challenges and what he calls chaos in tech hiring today. And I can't wait to learn from him. I've known Pawan, I was just telling him, for a little over 10 years now. I remember way back in 2011, I joined Dell formally as their talent acquisition social media advisor. And that was the first time I met and interacted with Pawan when he was the HR director there at what we used to call back then Dell 4, if you remember, Pawan, which is Dell's office on Inner Ring Road in Bangalore in Domlur. Pawan is currently head of human resources at the India Technology Hub of Prudential Corporation Asia. Welcome to HackerRank TV, Pawan. It was awesome catching up with you last week on Friday at the HackerRank Innovators Awards, where we called you to give away one of those prestigious awards. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there for HackerRank. I know you're a true believer and backer in us, but delighted to be conversing you today with all the developers on HackerRank TV.
Thank you, Adil. Thanks for inviting me, and pretty happy and looking forward to this interaction. And I've enjoyed interacting with you or any event that I've been part of HackerRank. So thanks for that.
Awesome, awesome. So we'll get started. But before I get started, for those of you who are joining in, I see from different platforms, whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. We're broadcasting live on all these five social media channels today. So wherever you've tuned in from, go ahead and tell us where you're joining in from by dropping in a comment. And when I see that comment, I'll feature this on screen. In the meanwhile, if you have any question for Pawan, go ahead and put that as a comment wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And I can then feature that comment on screen and we can ask that question to Pawan immediately and get his insights. So, again, without further ado, I've got a whole bunch of questions that I'd love to ask Pawan. But before that, before digging into it, let me tell you a little bit about Prudential. In Asia and Africa, Prudential has been providing familiar, trusted financial security to people for almost 100 years. Today, headquartered in Hong Kong and London, Prudential is top ranked in the top three in about 11 Asian markets with more than 19 million customers, 530,000 agents, that's more than half a million agents, and access to 27,000 bank branches in the region. Prudential is focused on opportunities in the most exciting growth markets in Asia and Africa. With access to over 4 billion people in both these regions, Prudential is investing in broadening their presence and building their leadership in the life and asset management markets. Think about that. The depth that this org brings is just phenomenal from a market coverage perspective. Now that we've got the introductions out of the bag, you know who Pawan is, you know who HackerRank is, you know who Prudential is. Let's get started with this interaction. So, Pawan, the gap between job openings and job seekers slash developers has always been omnipresent. But more recently, there's been a rise in what people have been calling a skill gap in tech hiring. With various technologies and two tech stacks on the rise, finding a qualified developer or a candidate with the right skills is proving to be a challenge slash nightmare for most talent professionals slash orgs. We'd love to understand, you've been doing this, you've been there, done that, you've been doing this for the last decade that I know it, and even before, because you spent a lot of time at Dell, even before that, way back from 2004, I think. What has been your experience like with this skill gap, and how do you think it can be solved?
Hey, thanks, Adil. I think a very, very pertinent subject that today probably every employer is kind of grappling with. Uh, when you pick up any of the consulting firms, whether Deloitte, McKinsey, I think everybody has been throwing this topic up that this is a prevalent challenge and the challenge will continue to multiply and increase in the year and months to come. Now, just to kind of get things sorted, what does skill gap mean? Let's just first get the definition out of the way. For me, when I say skill gap, it's the employee's current ability, and as an employer, what do I expect this individual to perform on the job? Okay, because when you look at, yes, all of us have the right degree, the right qualification, right skill set, but are we able to leverage this skill to do the best in the job? Now that's where the gap that most of the employers are facing today. When you look at, very large corporations have very large army of team members, but they are still grappling with this challenge of skill gap, not able to deliver the right kind of experience to their customers. Why? Is because of this skill gap between employees' ability versus able to give the best on the job. So that's just to get the definition out of the way. Uh, but why do you think this skill gap exists on the first place? Obviously, if the first question comes in mind is why there is a skill gap. When we are hiring people who have the right skill set and they are delivering, why is the skill gap? To me, when I kind of reflect, there are a couple of reasons why I see the skill gap to exist. One is today when we look at the way the market is evolving, the market dynamics. Okay, digital is disrupting the world on a daily basis. Okay, what we were doing 3 years, 4 years back is we're not doing the same thing today. Okay, gone are those days where you can stand still and be happy with what you're doing today. So that's one big reason where the market dynamics are disrupting, ever evolving, ever changing, and you need to constantly evolve to stay where you are. Second piece is organization to cope up with some of these changes, some of these dynamic changes, some of these digital changes have to constantly transform themselves to stay relevant. So to me, those are the two big factors where I see a skill gap coming. One is the market dynamics, and two, organization transforming themselves to stay relevant. Now, if this is the ecosystem in which we are operating, what is that one can do, and how is that we can solve some of these challenges? To me, it's a two-way street. One, yes, there is a dependency on the organization to ensure that it does the right thing with their existing teams from an upskilling, reskilling perspective. And two, it also depends on the individual or the employee to kind of do its part. Okay, because the way I kind of define this as analogy is you are on a bicycle, who is pedaling? It's the employee. As an organization, we would create all the right kind of infrastructure to enable you. The faster you pedal, the faster you will grow, the faster you will run. So, as an organization, I will create all the reskilling, upskilling environments around you. But are you up to taking up the challenge and learning the new skill? So, that's why I say it's a two-way street. And putting it in a bit of technology parlance, we say, is the system scalable? Now, points also to reflect is today, are employees happy with what they are doing, or are they challenging themselves? And it's extremely important today in the current state that we are from a skill gap perspective that the employee continues to challenge himself from an upskilling perspective. They push themselves, they push the employer saying that I need to learn something new. I need to do something new. So that's one aspect where I would want to focus on how the employer, how the employees can make a difference on bridging the skill gap, where the organization invests various reskilling and upskilling measures, and the employee is enthusiastic enough to put his hand up and learn the new skill. The second aspect that I look at, which is basically the HR function or the leadership function, is the hiring aspect. Today, the hiring is become extremely important. When we look at hiring, this is what I keep pushing my team: is don't look for a hire based on a certain skill set. Okay, that yes, you're looking for a Java or a data architect or a UI UX expert, and hence does the individual know this piece? That's the old way to look at. Today, we have to ensure that the talent is future ready, and a big factor of measuring this future talent is hidden in how are you measuring some of the soft factors during the assessment process, because that is one element which talks about individual scalability. So that's another piece which I am pushing my own team, and that's how we are also redefining our own recruitment process to see how are we recruiting a talent which is future ready, which is future proof, to scale with the changes in the world. And probably my last piece on this question is, as employees, as candidate, are you following your passion? Are you following what you're good at? Or are you following the fad? Now, there is also a tendency that we tend to follow the fad or the money trail versus focusing what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and continuing to upskill. Yes, upskilling is important, but doesn't mean that you go waver here and there without being good at one particular aspect. So that's why I also am a firm believer versus following your passion, following what you're good at versus following your fad. So I know a long answer to what you talked about, but that's what I would see, Adil, on what the skill gap is and what could be done.
Thank you, Pawan. I think that's a very good 30,000 feet worldview of where we are at and what we need to do. I think you answered that beautifully. So thank you for that. But before that, but before we move on to the next question, I wanted to just go ahead and welcome quite a few of our people or developers who are joining in. We've got pretty diverse in terms of coverage. So let's introduce a few of them. So you got Fateh Singh from India who's just joined in. Good to see you, Fateh. Thanks for joining in. We've got Maruf Hassan from Bangladesh all the way. Thanks for tuning in, Maruf. We've got Mohammad Monis again from India. Vishal has joined in from India. All of them are currently broadcasting or tuned in via LinkedIn. We've got Anita from India, Munsif from Pakistan, Maurice from Kenya, Prarthana, who agreed with what you were saying, and back then I flashed. I forgot what she agreed with you, but she was kind of in the rhythm and agreeing to what you were saying. We've got Debasmita, who's from India, Nitish, who's from India, Farooq from Pakistan, Saloni from India, and then there are a few of us who went ahead and explained where we're from. So, we've got Siddhi from Pune, Upendra from Hyderabad. We've got also people all the way from Brazil. So Andre Luis is tuning in from all the way from Brazil. Good to see you, Andre. We've also got presence from Bangalore. We've got Satish here. We've got Danish from Mumbai. We also have people all the way from Nigeria. So Ijoma, welcome to all of you. Thank you for tuning in, all of you. Lovely to see you here. Again, welcome from Ankita. So what are you guys drinking? Tell me now. Are you drinking chai? Are you drinking coffee? Are you having a soft beverage or two? Go ahead and pop that in the comments so we can continue to have fun and engage with you. If you have questions in the meanwhile for Pawan, like somebody asked, our Ram from YouTube kind of put a comment saying that how important is a degree in CS to land a job in this market? What should someone who is self-taught do to break into this industry? Similarly, we had another question from Manikanta. How are hiring teams making sure malpractice is not involved in hiring through interviews or online assessments? And similarly, a lot more kind of questions coming in. So we take those questions, we'll flash them to Pawan. Do go ahead and keep those questions coming in. I will flash them when the time is right. Andre, he says that he is from Brazil. Again, welcome, Andre. Good to have you. And then Ifania goes ahead and says, He's from Lagos, Nigeria. So good to have you again. Ankita is from Bangalore. Ahmed is kind of coming in from Egypt or the UAE. Ram Prakash is from Nepal. Welcome, all of you. Delighted to have all of you. Pawan's equally smiling, welcoming all of you. So let's get into the next question. So Pawan, Prudential is like a massive company making insane amount of impact. For those of you who remember, back in 1983 when India won the World Cup, and all of us have fond memories of Kapil Dev carrying that trophy. Prudential was the sponsor. So it's been a company who's been there for very many years now. To date, the business has 19.3 million customers in Asia and Africa. And as the business continues to burgeon, so does the diversity of the company's teams and hires. So we'd love to know, what are some of the common values and qualities that you look for when you're hiring tech talent at scale?
Thanks, Adil. Team, one of the key aspects, that's what I keep pushing my own team is uh, when we hire, one aspect is yes, your skill, your technology capability that one needs to hire. And the second aspect is your cultural fit, which is extremely important. So that's what I keep telling during the interview process when we are not rejecting a candidate just because he or she does not have a particular skill. But it's also about culturally the individual, what the individual aspires for, or what the individual wants to do probably does not align with the organization. Okay, it's not that you're good, bad, ugly, we're rejecting you because you're not good. That's not the case. Okay, you could be equally successful with some other corporation, just that you need to find which organization kind of fits into what you believe in. And trust me, once you're able to find that, you'll be super successful. Otherwise, you know, you will, for the sake of making a decision, you may join a particular corporation, but if your cultural, your values, the organization values do not align, it's going to be a fairly frustrating journey. And that's also, that's what I've looked at is most of the companies that I worked for, I have spent at least 5 plus more years. I've close to 30 years of experience. I barely worked with 4 organizations. And people ask me, Pavan, what made you work for these companies? One is I have been picky and choosy culturally what some of these companies align with what I believe in. And as long as I can align with these aspects, you will enjoy what you believe in, what the organization believes in. So that's one aspect why culture is important and why your success, your longevity comes into play. Now, switching gears from a prudential perspective, I think every organization at a certain point of times need to reflect back and say, what are the values that we need to define for us as an organization, which need to be relevant from where they are today and what will take them tomorrow. Now, as Adil started off, we are a 175-year-old organization. This year, we are celebrating a 175-year anniversary. Now, what made us successful 175 years back will not make us successful today. If you look at the conventional ways of selling in insurance, 175 years back will not work today. We need to revisit the whole way we are treating a customer, why we're reaching out to the customer, how we're delivering value to the customer. That means you need to rethink your value proposition. That means what you're building needs to be redefined. What you value, what your vision need to be redefined. Now, that's where about 2 years back, Prudential went and revisited its values, and we redefined our values into 5 buckets. First one is ambitious. Today, we are looking for candidates who are ambitious, who have fire in the belly, willing to take risk. Second one, curious. Candidates who are inquisitive, employees who are inquisitive, wanting to challenge the status quo. Third, empathy. Okay, do you care for your fellow member? Do you care for your team? Because at the end of the day, we are one family. How are you ensuring that you're taking care of your family member? We have to win as a team. You can't succeed independently. So, are you empathetic towards your members? Courageous. Are you bold enough to take bold decisions? Are you bold enough to take bold risks? Not stupid risks, but bold risks. And last piece was nimble. Agility is today everything, the rate at which the market is changing. So, as an organization, are you nimble enough? And the nimble comes with, are your teams nimble enough to change course and make things possible? So, those are the five values that we redefined ourselves 2 years back to recraft our organization to do another 100-year journey.
That's awesome.
Adel?
You often think about how startups are kind of writing the playbook and starting to think about their businesses. But here's a company who's navigated 100 years, and then you're building the playbook for the next 100 years. It's insane, the kind of stuff y'all are building. So, again, kudos there. And Mohammad Samir kind of tends to agree with you on the skills bit that you just mentioned. So let's go to the next one. We'd love to now that we understand what Prudential is all about. You've given us a sense on where the company's at. You've given us a sense of what are the values you look at in people. Let's talk about the focus of hiring at Prudential today, because all the developers who've tuned in are keen to understand, as the company that stands in the interesting intersection of healthcare, insurance, and asset management, all of which that are powered by tech. I'm sure everyone's curious to know about the kind of roles, teams, and people who make it to work every day. Tell us a little bit about this.
Uh, I think yes, Adil, as you rightly pointed out, is today Prudential as an organization is pivoting. Okay, from being a conventional insurance organization to being a digital first, digital led organization. Okay, I think as an organization, we are trying to redefine ourselves for the next 100 years. And as we know today, digital is the way to go. Customers interact with you, talk to you on the digital space. The more you know your customer, better value that you can deliver to your customer. Gone are those days where I'll call you once in a year that here is your product that's expiring, or you want to buy a new insurance product, you call us in, or you have call taking agents who are calling you to sell a particular product. Gone are those days. Okay, you need to personalize your journeys. You need to interact with your customers to know what they want and how you want to deliver that experience. So that's the big pivot that we're doing as an organization, or 175-year-old organization, to recraft ourselves and compete with the new age organization. So that's one big pivot that we're doing. And obviously, this whole transformational journey is led by technology. As much as we are looking at our business processes to be redefined, recrafted, but the backbone of this whole transformation is that digital journey that we want to offer to our customers. And obviously, digital journeys are led by technology hiring. So some of the key skills that we're hiring from a digital skills perspective goes without saying, whether it's back end, front end, full stack engineers, customer experience, UX, UI are a great skill that we're looking for. If you are trying to deliver a great experience to your customer, UX, UI plays a very integral part. And especially now, as I can see, there are multitude of teams, a multitude of callers who are joined from different geographies. So how do you ensure that you cater to the nuances of each of the geographies that Prudential works? That's where the customer experience, the UI experience is extremely important for us. Today, data analytics is your backbone. If you are saying that you're going to deliver a very personalized journey to your customer, and that is only possible on the back of your data. So, how are you creating your data journey for your customers? So, whether it's creating the right team using data engineer, data architects, your AI, your ML, so those are some of the skills that we are looking for. Now, we are a financial services organization. Okay, for us, infrastructure security is paramount. Okay, we are growing in various countries. So how do we create a global scalable solution which is secure, which holds on to our customer data in a very secure manner? So that's another space that we are growing and hiring, and and to ensure all these programs kind of run in a very seamless and a time bound manner. Skills around program management, delivery management. So broadly, other those are the kind of digital technology led skills that we are hiring as we speak today. Yes, we are also hiring the usual actuarial skills and claim and risk and those aspects which drive the pure insurance function.
Thank you. So there you heard it. Those are the kind of skills that Prudential is kind of going out in for in the digital cloud slash tech first domain. If you think you have the capability or values that, remember Pavan spoke about how it's important being ambitious, curious, have a little bit of empathy. If you're courageous and you feel like your workflow or work style is being nimble and agile, Prudential is the place for you. So if you want to kind of be exploring career opportunities, go ahead, look at Prudential Corporation Asia's careers website, and you can apply. And Pawan and his team are always available to look at your application and then move you quickly on to the next steps. So awesome. Let's move on to the next question. Pawan, you've been very passionate about HR tech. You've been a practitioner who's been scaling orgs, processes, tools, infrastructure, framework on HR tech for a couple of decades now. We'd love to hear from you. How's your experience been with HackerRank so far, particularly at Prudential? And how has the platform helped you, if at all, identify the right candidates?
Okay, it's been extremely rewarding. One word to define our relationship with HackerRank, it's been extremely rewarding. And if I were to just give my own personal journey, I came on board Prudential about 2.5 years back. I was the first employee to join to set up Prudential's uh, technology hub here in India, Bangalore. Okay, and I joined them on 1st of May 2020. Okay, and all of us would remember 1st of May 2020, the world was locked down. Okay, we all were locked into our houses. COVID was kind of picking up, and here I am, first employee joining the organization and given a responsibility to set up this tech hub, a digital tech hub to scale from 0 to 100 and create a digital platform that will pivot this organization for the next 100 years. So that was the challenge that was thrown at us. And now the journey was all of us are locked at home. All of us are in a very different mindset on what's happening external to the world. Now, how do I reach out to the candidates beyond the conventional ways that we were used to calling candidates to the office, having this warm conversation, or giving them computers to do the assessments? And here I was, people locked in their respective houses. How do I reach out to all the candidates? How do I create a unique personalized experience journey for them to come and join a startup while I was Prudential, but come join a startup? How do I create a consistent journey for anybody who could be sitting in Kenya to Pakistan or to any city in India? How do I create that consistent journey and a same yardstick on how I'm measuring an engineer that I'm hiring for? I think that's the beautiful journey that HackerRank enabled me to do this, sitting in my this very study room that I'm talking to all of you this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are. So that's what I'm really thankful. We have scaled up this organization, and we are continuing to scale and continuing to strengthen our relationship with HackerRank. That's one aspect of it. Second aspect of it, which I really enjoyed with HackerRank, is you guys are extremely open to feedback. Okay. Now, I'll tell you personally, there was a certain algorithm that I was not very comfortable with on how you were calling people from a plagiarism perspective. I called this out. You guys went back, revisited those algorithms, and came back and told me, Power, it is fixed. Talks a lot about the that the organization wants to offer its customer. So that is another aspect that I liked with this team, was that you don't say that we are the experts in providing this digital platform service. So consume what we give you. So you were customer centric. You wanted to deliver the right kind of experience. That was also the second thing that I really enjoyed being part of this journey.
Thank you, Pawan. You spoke about the entire personalized candidate experience and then how the team kind of listens and come back. Curious to know, is there any metric that you thought moved because of this partnership? Anything that you think like stood out and that was like an aha moment for you?
See, one thing with a platform like you is we were a very very small team. Okay, we started with 4 5 internal teams coming together. Now imagine 4 to 5 people trying to scale a 100 people organization. There is no way that we would have interviewed 100 people. Okay, so we had to have an intelligent solution that enabled one to screen through these thousands of CVs that were coming our way. Okay, now that could have been only possible if I had an Intel digital platform which enabled me to do this. Okay, so that's one aspect that I looked at from an efficiency perspective or utilization of our own time and bandwidth perspective, my conversion ratios perspective. So I knew that somebody would clear my HackerRank assessment, my conversion is going to be much better versus I trying to interview 100 candidates. So whether it was candidate experience, whether it was conversion, whether it was unlimited manpower trying to scale an organization is something that I would say HackerRank really helped us.
Awesome. And HR is like an integral part of the process, but I think like an equally important part of the process is hiring managers. Because if you think about it, HR owns the hiring process in the org. And then HR has two customers, not one, interestingly. One is the candidates who are customers. The second thing is hiring managers who are customers. And you're like the sacred custodian between the two who's trying to make this match happen. So would love to get some perspective on how easy or hard was it for candidates, at the same time how easy or hard was it for hiring managers, and how did you like bring both of these two together, because when they come together and then they interact, then the magic happens. If it does not happen, then it all kinds of falls flat. So would love some bit of introspection or some of your thoughts there as well.
So to me, uh, when I look at a hiring manager, the hiring manager is like somebody who wants best of the candidate with superhuman skills as of yesterday to join today. Okay, that's how I define a hiring manager. And when I look at a recruiter, recruiter to me is like a sales professional. He has to meet his targets, he has to meet his numbers, push 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 push, make things happen. So somewhere in this a mad rush of one wanting a superhuman, one wanting to ensure you meet the numbers, it becomes the responsibility of leaders to ensure that somewhere in this healthy tension, which I call, you don't lose the whole purpose of why you are hiring this individual. Okay, there is a human that's being hired into this organization. How do you create this great humane experience while each one has their own agenda of why and what they want? Okay, so that's one piece that I've constantly worked with getting these parties together is please, neither you are hiring to please yourself and deliver a great customer experience, or a recruiter, your job doesn't end just because you've hired a guy and thrown him inside the organization and now it's somebody else's problem. Okay, so my constant endeavor has been that yes, how do you get all these party to understand that yes, you're working for this organization, yes, each one plays a different part in this whole candidate journey, but end of the day you own the candidate from the time you write a job description. Okay, I am very passionate about starting the candidate journey from the time you write a JD. And to me, I would say it's a very difficult thing to write JD, because I know all of you have joined on calls, you would have read lots of JDs, and largely JD saying I am looking for a Java, these kind of skill set, 4 to 5 years, can code 1 2 3 4, and there you are. Okay, to me, JD is beyond just the skill set that you're looking for. Does it define the organization for you? Does it define the kind of cultural skill set that you will be working within? Yes, obviously, it talks about the job and the skills that is required. Because this JD not only helps me identify the candidate, but also candidate to identify beyond the skill set on what this organization is all about. Okay, what is it looking for me? What can I aspire in the future if I were to take this role and responsibility? So that's why a lot of thought goes in defining a job description. That's why I spend a lot of time with the teams to defining a JD, because that is what defines an alignment in what a manager is looking for, what a hiring team is looking for, and how do you drive synergy in this whole experiential journey of giving the right experience to the candidate. Now, this is another thing which I also push both manager and the staffing team is that you're not hiring candidate for today. Okay, you also need to ensure that we both run, and again goes back to the JD, is you're hiring a candidate who needs to be future proof, is he future ready? Okay, does it fit into your organization values and culture? Okay, another big proponent of HR more in particular is HR is generally tend to be considered as an organization which is not very strong on commercial acumen. Okay, now this is what I keep pushing my own teams, that we need to ensure and maintain a balance around opportunity cost. Okay, when you're hiring a candidate, it's not about giving few dollars less or giving few dollar more or the timeline associated with, but are you balancing what I call the opportunity cost? By paying probably $100 cost, if you can get the candidate early, or for $100 there's a decline, we're going to take another 3 months or 2 months cycle to get somebody on board. What is the opportunity cost? So that is also a kind of a barometer that I use when I start aligning candidates and managers around organization, opportunity, employee experience. Back to you,
Awesome.
Adil.
Awesome. So, you spoke very interestingly about the three the three pillars of the process, which is hiring managers, candidates, and recruiting. Let's talk a little about employer branding, because as competition in tech hiring increases, the one thing that could be supremely helpful to any org to use as a weapon to get more candidates is employer branding. How effective is this to be able to stand out in the crowd? What are some employer branding hacks slash methods that you'd recommend, and what's your worldview on employer branding? We'd love to know.
Okay, goes without saying, uh, you need to catch the eyeballs. If I look at a recruitment perspective, you need to catch the eyeballs. You need to catch the attention of not just active job seekers, but also passive job seekers to find of wanting to come work for Prudential. Okay, something what we are doing today, Adil, one of the reasons, one of the selfish reasons, let me honestly confess, of wanting to be on this platform is also to reach out to this large audience that I'm talking to you today, which may or may not be looking for an opportunity, but to put that little mind share in their thought, saying that, okay, Potential is a great organization. At some point of time, if I decide to move, okay, I would want to apply for. Now I have teams. I could see as you flashed around, members joining from Kenya, Nepal, Pakistan, etc. So Potential is extremely strong in Africa. Okay, now I may not be hiring, but I know Africa teams are hiring. So there could be a lot of members after this talk may get excited, may go to Prudential Africa website and want to work for. So branding is extremely important. You need to catch the eyes and attention of both active and passive job seekers at every point of time. Now, people have used social mediums, and I'm not going to talk which is something new or unique. Is yes, use every possible social media. Other you just talked about today, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, uh, Twitter, Instagram is now catching up. I've seen in India employers advertising on Instagram. So that's the new buzz that is catching up. Youngsters don't want to read that 30-second Instagram video catches your attention. I think those are definitely must do things with every organization to build its credibility, its visibility within the right candidate mind or the communities. Okay, like now this is a tech community that I'm talking to. Now whether I convert or not, it's not that. This is a future investment that I've made today for Prudential. Okay, so that's one aspect which I kind of focus and which every employer is focusing. I'm sure what I've spoken is not new. A second aspect which I also talk about, doing some of the basics right. Okay, while we focus on social media, there's another aspect which we need to kind of focus very, very clearly is treating your stakeholders with respect. Okay. Truly creating a customer centric organization with whatever you do. Okay. Now, whether as a stakeholder you're talking to an external candidate, or whether as a stakeholder you're talking about your employee journeys within the organization, both of these have to be top class. Okay. I talked about the candidate journey within, from the time a JD is present to the individual, from the time the individual is either given an appointment letter or said thank you. Okay. Every touch point has to be world class, because that is what creates an experience. And to me, it is still the old world, word of mouth. Word of mouth is still a very powerful medium for why anybody wants to join, let's say, Prudential. So to me, fundamental, old world fundamentals are still relevant. One needs to continue to focus on the old world relevant. Plus, obviously, you need to embrace the new ways of things, which is your digital space, and both need to be married to bring the right kind of impact.
Very interesting how you put that across. You spoke about how Instagram is super relevant today, but at the same time, you spoke about how old world fundamentals matter. Back to recruiting from employer branding, right? Old world fundamentals, there is one metric that is the sacred metric for most hiring managers and TA leaders alike, which is this thing called time to hire. So I know you've been able to move the needle on time to hire significantly at Prudential. Tell us a little bit about how you've been able to move that needle and what you've done.
See, again, as I said, we started, we were COVID babies, as I say so. Uh, one big piece is your conversion ratios depend on what's your funnel. Okay, every recruiter, if you ask me, it's all about your funnel. And funnel to me is not about just the number of resumes coming into your funnel. Okay, but the quality of resumes that are coming into your funnel. And to me, a quality of resumes, one, starts get defined, as I said, with your journey at a JD level. Okay, are you talking to the right candidate, or are you creating a JD which is fairly ambiguous, fairly wide? You know, everybody can throw in their resume into it, but you're looking for that one particular skill or a capability which probably is hazed out in that large jargon world of creating a JD. So that's one journey that I look from a conversion perspective is how do you create a funnel which is relevant? Okay. A two, to be from a funnel output perspective, is once you see through your first stage, which is your resume stage, coming to your interview, is how relevant it is, assuming you're doing a technology hire, how relevant it is now that you can have a certain benchmark defined within your own organization or across the globe. And this is where we've leveraged your platform to sieve this funnel down to ensure that quality resumes have come in versus, we spending enormous amount of time going through hundreds of CVs and thousands of CVs to first shortlist those CVs and then send them these assessments or go through the interview process, etc., especially in a challenging times like COVID. Or, the world has evolved right now. Yes, is back to office 100% done? No, probably world will continue to operate in a hybrid world. So platforms like HackerRank will stay relevant, and we will continue to keep enhancing the capability and what more can we work with you to kind of better experience for customers as well as for candidates. So that is second piece which has helped us in defining the final set of resumes that we screen are a certain threshold when it comes to technical capability. Okay, so that's been one matrix on how the time to cycle kind of has helped us. Third is when you're looking for a quality talent. Now this is where I do my job with hiring managers and recruiters. Okay, I know, as I said, hiring managers want Superman as of yesterday who can join today. Okay, Now, so this is where, as leaders, it becomes also a responsibility to also educate our leaders on certain market dynamics. Okay. Now, this is part of your HR recruitment strategy forecasting exercise that you do with leaders. You say, hey, give me a forecast at least a quarter in advance to best of the ability. Okay. So that, you're not running behind me as of yesterday, wanting today. Okay. Can we plan better? Okay, where you are not stressed out. I am not unnecessarily pushing a candidate, because this is another belief that I tell every recruiter, saying that when you send a JD, give some time for the candidate to read the JD. If you're calling an individual for a candidate, give him at least 24 hours to 48 hours for the candidate to prepare. Don't call him in the morning 9 o'clock to say there's a 4 o'clock interview. Okay, I want the candidate to be in a mental space where he or she can sit back, think, probably read the JD a little bit better, visualize his thought process, and then come for an interview. Okay. Now, this is what I tell every candidate, even when I go through my internal IJPs. Trust me, I have a one pager that I create for myself, where I have looked at all the capability and competencies within my own organization, and I've defined a project for every capability, every competency. So that if a question is asked, Pavan, give me an example of commercial acumen, I'm able to call out that one project. Okay, so that's why again I push my recruiters, give a candidate that time for him or her to sit at peace, visualize, prepare, and come, and the conversions are way better. So there are multiple things that one need to do at the funnel stage, at the JD stage, prepping your candidate, giving him adequate information that he or she is ready, enabling your own team members, whether it's a recruiter or managers, to do the right kind of interviews, the right way of interviews. And last but not the least, the candidate, thanks Vishal. Last but not the least, the candidate does the 50% of journey. Okay. If you don't come prepared, you could be a brilliant guy. If you are not prepared, you will not be able to put your best foot forward, and you may not be able to crack the interview or the aspirational organization that you're wanting to work for. And it's a loss for both of us. I have lost a candidate who probably was good but was not able to present him or herself well. So those are probably some of the aspects that I work around to ensure that the TAT or the conversions happen uh, within the organization constraint, putting undue pressure on any one of the players.
Awesome. That was a fantastic answer, Pawan. Clearly, Vishal and a lot of people really enjoyed that. So let's come to the question that I've been waiting to ask for a long time now. You've been running multiple HR orgs for many years now, and leadership is something that comes naturally to you. However, leadership requires a very peculiar and unique skill set, which doesn't come naturally to most people. Since you've been recognized for being a great HR leader in multiple stellar organizations like Dell, like British Telecom, now at Prudential, tell us a little bit about important qualities and skills you believe make a good leader or a great leader. What would be one piece of advice you would like to leave me and our viewers with on leadership?
Okay, so way I these are the qualities that I resonate with when I look at a leader. Okay, so I'm gonna right or wrong. This is what I look for in my own leader that I have reported to or I have worked with in my 25 plus years of corporate journey. First thing I looked at is compassion. Okay, can the leader relate to me? Can the leader understand me at a human level? So that's something that I have really looked up to as leaders, and probably imbibed some of these skills. Second thing that I've looked at is agility in decision making. Okay, this is one thing I've really liked in leaders who are quick to visualize a challenge, work with the team, take a right decision. Now, I understand that yes, every time you don't have all the data points to take a right decision, but you need to take a decision at the moment, whatever limited information that you have, and move forward. I don't like leaders who are sitting on it and waiting for the world to evolve. I want leaders who are spontaneous, who decisive, who take a decision, back the team, move on. Okay, that's another aspect which I like in the leaders that I've worked for. Third thing that I've also liked for leaders is who have enabled their team members to kind of grow, thrive. Okay, they have pushed them at the deep end and said, buddy, figure out. Okay, I will stand by you, I will hold your hand, but I will not sit and baby feed you. Okay, yes, you were pushed to the deep end, but he was, and I knew that yes, he was holding a pole that if I was drowning, I could reach out to this individual. Okay, but yes, he pushed me to explore my boundaries. That's another aspect which I've looked for. And probably a very related subject, which probably is my last point, is celebrating failures. Okay, now I am picking up a point from our HackerRank conclave that we had over the weekend. Adil, is innovation is an iterative journey. Okay, now I love leaders who work with you. Doesn't say that I want you to create me a world class solution by tomorrow morning. Okay, here is one leader who willing to stand with you and saying, Pavan, we will do the journey step by step. We will create what is relevant for today and we'll keep refining, especially a startup within Prudential. We were very clear that yes, this is what we want to do today, as they call MVP. Okay, MVP 1, MVP 2, MVP 3. Okay, so this is what we will deliver today, and then we will constantly keep refining and creating a great organization as we go along. So that is another piece which I like. Are the leaders willing to celebrate success, or are those leaders who turn around and say, you fail and I'll go after you? So I think those are the four aspects: compassion, agility, able to enable your team members and celebrate failures is what attracts me to work and love these leaders. So that's what I am. And for closing statement, you said, what do I want to leave the team or the audience today? To me, I think leadership is a journey, and to be a great leader, one is you need to be watchful of your actions, and you need to take your team along in this journey. And this is my mantra has been that the leader is as successful as the team is. In your own capacity, you will never be successful. If you enable your team, if your team succeeds, you will succeed as a leader. So I've every time told my team saying, if you are an exceptional performer, I can take the credit for it and be called an exceptional leader. So it is in my interest that I make you successful so that I become equally successful. So that's the mantra that I have lived with, and that's what I want to leave the audience with.
100%. I think that's very powerful. So, I'm just trying to like digest and make notes of what you were saying to kind of figure out, like, you said it beautifully in the way you did. But what I am hearing is, you know, think big, get shit done, empower your tribe to thrive, celebrate failures, and let 100 flowers bloom. Collaborate and scale together. You can't do it alone. Alone is boring. Alone is not fun. And alone, you can accomplish so little, but together, you can accomplish so much. At the same time,
Agreed.
what I also heard is when you were talking about, the one advice, the journey. I think a lot of us are looking forward to the end goal, saying that, oh, after these many years, I will achieve that milestone and I'll be at the top of the iceberg. But I think oftentimes we fail to realize actually the journey is the reward. It's not the reward that's there at the end of the journey, but actually, when you look back, you're like, holy shit, I want to do that again. If that's the thrill that you get, if then the journey is the reward and the reward is not out there for you. So enjoy it while it's happening. And like you said, think big, get shit done, empower your tribe to thrive, celebrate failures, and collaborate. And at the same time, do whatever it takes to make your team successful, and they'll do vice versa.
Agreed. And probably I leave my thoughts. I'm in the journey of making my bosses. So as you can live with
That
that
is so
mantra where
powerful. That is, Incredibly powerful. You know, go on for a minute and tell us, tell people, because I don't think people will encapsulate what you just said. That is super powerful. Tell us for about a minute, minute and a half.
See, I think as leader, that's a mantra that I've lived with is I am in the journey of making my own bosses. Okay, and team members of mine, that's what I feel with pride when I see. I think as one of the leadership capabilities is when I said enablement is you need to enable a team member and let the individual go do bigger things in life. Okay, in my 20 years of journey, I have created leaders who are head of HRs in a lot of other organizations, and I feel with pride when I look around and saying, okay, that's a team member who worked with me is today head of HR or a CEO or whatever that is. That is also a reflection of you as a leader of having done something right, that you created this individual, you enabled this individual to do where he is today. So that's why I keep telling myself, Pavan, you are in the journey of creating your own bosses. Uh, Go, you know, create, enable, leave them to do bigger things in life. Don't hold back for your own personal selfish interests.
100%. I think that's very powerful. And with that, I think it's time to call this a wrap. Pawan, this has been supremely, supremely helpful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for doing this. For all of you who joined in, big thank you as well. And for those of you who are regular viewers on HackerRank TV, very exciting lineup is what we've got for October, November, and December. I can't reveal who we're getting in November and December yet, but let me reveal to you who we are getting in October. This is not live on our LinkedIn yet, but over the next couple of days, my team will get this live. So we're going to have Sanjeev Banwal, who's the co-founder and CTO of Misho, who's going to be doing a live stream with us. This is on the 12th of October at 6 p.m. IST. So for those of you who are Misho fans, who want to understand what a co-founder mindset is like, who want to understand how CTOs think, and who are curious for all things e-commerce, join us for this live stream on the 12th of October. But before that, again, Pawan, can't thank you enough. Thanks a lot for making time today. This has been a blast.
Thank you, Adil. Thanks for inviting me and teams who have joined in from across the world. Thank you very much for listening to us and wishing you all the luck.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great Thursday evening.